So tonight we're going to play with some different technology. I'm using an older cell phone that had a really good resolution. This is a Note 20. I switched over to an iPhone for reasons of work and school and different things because it's a little easier to work with, but the storage space on an iPhone is not good for what I'm trying to do here. So tonight we're going to start off talking about different things with this off-grid stuff. It's some things have come to light that with the real estate market, and we have a contract on this place, and there's all kinds of games being played with this. Appraisals saying one thing and we're asking another thing, but the market dictates one other thing, and I think it's all a bunch of BS if you ask me. We'll see if this actually takes place or not. So number one, we're going to start off with the local powers. So I had some conversations with some local people. I'm not going to say who these local people were, but I'm not going to give any even hints to who they were. So I was sitting amongst about half a dozen people the other day, and we were talking about off-grid people. So I was explaining what we've done and how we've done it and how this has been we've done it the right way. We have solar, we have water catch systems. We live very comfortably. We have a wood burning stove. We have split units for AC and heat. We have solar that runs all of this stuff. I mean, I've made things pretty much where they run themselves at this point in time. So we were talking, and they were talking about a lot of these off-grid people moving into the area. So a lot of things just kind of popped into my mind at this point in time, because the problems that we're having with people around us right now, this number 4 should be actually number 2 if you ask me. But so the locals, powers that be, their hands are tied with these people moving in. I was told stories that people will move in, they'll buy some owner finance property, and the next thing you know, they're throwing up a tent. Or there's multiple people living on one property. There's no water, there's no electricity, there's no sewer. They're living there with multiple kids. I was told that there's a couple of school teachers living in tents in the area that's moved in from some other state. I had no idea it was this bad here in Southeastern Oklahoma. So these people that are doing a lot of this owner finance stuff, if you choose to buy one of these properties, you could have the trailer park move in next to you. Or even when you buy a property, a friend of mine he's had property for years. I worked with this guy. Death happened in the family of the owner of the property next to him. Where his house sits, there's a tent city that popped up within probably 100 feet of his house because where the property line is. His property value went to crap real quick. So the local powers, we're going to kind of, the field of view on this phone isn't the greatest, so the local powers here, which is number 1, really their hands are tied. Law enforcement can't do anything to these people because basically they run and hide when it comes down to it. These people use the legal system to their benefit. They'll file protective orders, restraining orders against people, so people can't say anything about the way that they're living to the powers. Like, if they've got kids out there living in a freaking tent, they call DHS, they just run and hide. These people have manipulated the system, and the local powers can't do anything to them. They just hope that they move on. That's what the situation is. I'm sure this is like this in other states, but Southeastern Oklahoma is pretty bad about this stuff. So I was told that these people set up tents and they'll choose to live out there. They'll have wood burning stoves inside of tents, running generators, all this different stuff with kids out here. It's utter cowboy land and from what I was told. So these people use the First Amendment here. It's freedom of speech. If you don't, you kind of really need to know your amendments as far as constitutional amendments, no matter where you live. But they'll use their First Amendment right to basically control the narrative in some ways. Basically, don't go against their First Amendment or they're going to sue you, basically. That goes back to the local powers because they threaten the local powers with lawsuits. Again, a lot of this has come to light in the last few days. So, also, they will try to control your Second Amendment rights by getting a protective order or a restraining order against you by making up all kinds of lies. Okay? So now you don't have the right to, or you don't have the equipment to protect yourselves from these people, which is really messed up. They've done this before and they've got this figured out very well. So when these people move into your area, the local powers need to be very aware and they need to deal with them immediately. The problem is we've allowed this to fester here in Oklahoma, apparently. Again, I just found out a lot of this yesterday. So these problems right here, because this problem puts the local powers to be in a weird spot, because now they've got to mess with somebody's rights in this situation. By these people following a protective order, it restricts you from what you say about them or what you can do or whatever. So now it puts them in a weird situation. So you can sue them, they can sue them. It's really messed up. They know what they're doing. So this goes back to the housing market now. So again, we've got a contract on this place. The problem is you run into car salesman games and this stuff. So the market dictates a place may be worth, let's say, 100,000. Let's make the math easy. 100 grand, okay? Well, they decide that they want to try to get a conventional loan for an off-grid cabin. It's not going to happen, okay? So they send an appraiser out to look at your property, and they say, oh, your property is worth $66,000. Let's just say, okay? So, but the market says 107, or 108, 110, whatever. So a lot of this is because there's two people that are wanting to do off-grid. You have the people that are wanting to move in, that are wanting to hide from law enforcement and live the shady ways that they do. They think that they're going to come out here without an electric bill and a water bill and things of that sort, okay? Then you've got the people that are just kind of running from the legal system, running from the law, hiding from ex-wife, ex-boyfriend, whatever. They've got half a dozen freaking kids. They want to hide, okay? Or they're felons, or they, things like that. There's all kinds of people. Then there's the people that are from other states that this is kind of the in thing to have an off-grid cabin. So this is kind of an in thing. So that's helping dictate this market. This market, because you've got two people. You've got one person that's willing to write a check cash and say, yeah, I want an off-grid property because this is the cool in thing. This is kind of like buying a four-wheeler or a side-by-side or something like that. So absolutely, I'm just going to write a check and I can brag about, I've got my off-grid property that I go to this weekend. Ha ha, Miffy. Yeah, they do that shit. So that's what's pushing this market. Then you've got the people that are just whatever. They scrape a bunch of money together. A bunch of people pool money together and buy a piece of property. There's all kinds of shady stuff that goes on out here. I had no idea about this stuff. I could talk about this for a month and probably not even hit the surface of this. So, locals versus off-grid people. So, my wife ran into another couple in the laundromat today, and they were talking about how they're leaving this area. They've lived in Tallahena for years, most of their life. The reason why they're leaving is because they have bad neighbors. These people moved in from another state, and the first thing they start doing, they start messing with the people that's around them. That's the problem. So they start messing with them, they start harassing them, and then all of a sudden these people are the victims, okay? So these people have chosen to say, we're out, we're done, we're leaving our hometown. So local community is going to eventually be taken over by people that are a bunch of crap starters, is what that's going to be, and that's what's happening. You have off-grid people that are moving into these areas, and I'm one of them. But again, we've done it the right way. You can't tell that we're off-grid other than we're pulling a big tank in the back of our truck and filling gas cans. That's kind of the secret handshake, secret whatever. You see somebody in town with a water tank in the back of their truck, that's what that is. The problem is they're pushing the long-time local people out, and you're going to have a community that is going to eventually fail. That's the problem. You're going to have these people, they're going to use up resources, they're going to piss everybody off in town, and then they're going to leave because they really don't have any ties here. They don't care. They just move on to another place, start another crap load of whatever it is that they do. It's like, this is their hobby. It's sad. And again, I've had a revelation of a lot of things in the last 2 days. So, this is kind of off topic. The headlamp. That's important. You got to have a headlamp out here. You got to have 5 or 6 of these things strategically placed in multiple spots, because I used to make fun of a nurse that I worked with. He was our educator out in Nevada, and he wore a headlamp all the time. I used to make fun of him. He'd have people send him headlamps because they thought he was a dork or a geek or whatever because he wore a headlamp. Now, out here, when you don't have lights like street lamps and different things, you have solar powered lights everywhere, a headlamp is very important. Again, you need to have 2 or 3 of these rechargeable ones, because one goes down, you're right in the middle of a project, that headlamp goes down, you need to have another one in your pocket or whatever, because I mean, sometimes you've got a hold of something, you can't let go of it, and your headlamp dies. Happens all the time. I can't remember what brand I've got. This is a Stanley, if I remember right. This is basically my trophy that I've had since we moved here. I bought this at Tractor Supply. It's rechargeable, Stanley. It's rechargeable. I haven't received any kind of, I don't know, sponsorship or anything like that for this, but this is what I use, and it's lasted 3 years. Now the thing will probably blow up since I'm talking good about it. But you need to have 2 or 3 of these and have some of the cheap ones as backups, because it's very important if you choose to do this. But yeah, local powers are pretty much, hands are tied. Law enforcement, everybody you can sit here and try to work your way out of it. The best thing you can do is just leave. And that's what we're trying to do, but there's a lot of games being played with the real estate market, and I'm just not having it. I don't believe it. But being basically local versus off-grid people, and it's, I mean, we're from Oklahoma. We've lived here in Oklahoma all of our life, me and my wife. And the problem is, we've got people coming in out of state all over the place, and we're not against people coming in out of state. We're not against it, but keep your stupid politics and your stupid ways back. Leave them where you came from. If you're coming from California, we don't care about. Keep your attitude to yourself. If you're coming from Texas or wherever, again, we're not against you guys coming here. It's just we're not going to bend over backwards to put up with your crap. But hopefully eventually this will change, and if you choose to do this, maybe you be very, very wise about making your decisions where you buy a property, and downsize as much as you can. Don't be having a bunch of crap that you got to carry with you, and a bunch of crap that you got to store. Pick out the most important tools, the most important things that you're going to need for doing this. Buy the right stuff the first time. Don't buy something small and think it'll get you by. You buy a chainsaw, buy the biggest damn chainsaw you can buy. And there's brands out there that are better than other brands. Some warranties are better. Be very careful on what you buy and what, how you choose the product. Sometimes you just got to put it to the test. Generators, chainsaws, that's 2 of the most important things out here. And all your solar stuff. But again, hopefully we'll start, maybe in the near future, we'll be able to sell this place and get the hell out of here and be able to start this all over someplace else, and I can really make some really good videos on this. But again, this right here is just expressing and telling you where and how to pick your spot, because that is the most important thing. If people move in around you that are undesirables, you might have been here 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden, people start moving in that want to suck off the system and drag you down. If they're dragging you down, cut the dead weight loose. Cut it loose. Don't start helping everybody in the neighborhood and let all your stuff fall to the side, because people will take advantage of you. They will sit there and say, hey, come on over, and I need you to do this for me. Next thing you know, you're there all day long, and all of your stuff is falling to the wayside. You're staying up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning just trying to get your stuff done, running around with your headlamp on, looking like a crackhead. Again, more videos to come, and I'm a little frustrated, Dave. A little frustrated, a little pissed off. I don't know which is the worst, but hopefully it changes.